At this point, we know. Let's be honest. We know that if you have information that's going to strongly contradict the position of one of the major networks, because it's not an accident that all their media seems to all flow towards the same story. I mean, no one even gets their news from these channels like CNN and whatever else you're getting, Fox or something. I mean, if you do, you're probably like above 50 years old, or you're watching it with some passing curiosity. Most people are getting their news online from publications and from social media. A lot of people get their news from social media, which is very concerning. I'm not sure which one is more concerning. But
well, one thing I will grant Twitter and social media is that it strangely allows for on-the-ground reporting in the moment, actual footage of what's happening in places where a lot of reporters are just, it's not an indictment on the bravery of personal bravery of reporters. A lot of it is economic. I think a lot of these large media companies simply know that it's more cost effective. Like, and I've heard this complaint before. What are you going to do? Send the rate of return for sending and funding, which costs a decent amount of money, a journalist to go and live in Iraq, when you could pay some intern to write an article about, whether whatever bullshit headline of the day about cancel culture or about, it doesn't matter. That, like, you pay someone $8 an hour to write that article. Mm-hmm. Or do you spend hundreds of thousands of dollars supporting a journalist to go live in Iraq and do reporting? And I think some of this is economics. It's no more. I don't think that it's a conspiracy. I guess what I'm trying to say. I don't think it's necessarily conspiratorial. I think it's a failure.
Well, I think it's conspiratorial also. So here's the thing. I think there's two elements to this. I don't think it's an accident that certain things are reported and others are not. Like, I don't think it's an accident that the New York Times has developed a preoccupation with finding racism and everything from crocheting to, Disney movies or whatever. Those are choices that are made. And there is an economic incentive, though, which you describe. But here's the thing. That's why no one reads the fucking New York Times. Because when you are churning out garbage for clickbait, instead of putting in the investment to do real journalism that's accurate, that's informative, that's unique, that's effortful, then that's what you get back. You're going to get back passing interest. You're not going to be an esteemed institution like it once was.
Okay, so I'm not a huge fan of the New York Times, but they still do and put some money into some more in-depth reporting. So I don't want to be all black and white about this and all like, I don't. I think there's nuance to all this, but
I'm trying to recall. The New York Times does something right, sure, but I mean, on average, it's pretty like embarrassing. I don't even want to write for an organization like that. Like, I thought about it, and then I was like, you know what? I don't want to be associated with an organization like that.
You don't need to think about it anymore. You forget about that from what you've already said on this podcast. But
anyway,
there you go. So it's done. That's done. But I'm trying to recall because there was and this is kind of important. This is going to be a two-part thing because we're obviously speculating and ranging wildly. But there was a important story that was done in the 70s or 80s with regard to investigative journalism that had to do with corruption at the local level in Chicago. And I remember this was an NPR thing I heard before the pandemic.
NPR was another one that used to do real things on the regular. Okay, that's the difference is that, NPR still does things real every now and then. They make an effort and they get things right. But it's like every time I turn on the radio, it's like why Latinxes are maybe not happy about clothes that are the color blue. Like, it's just absolute drivel.
It's gotten worse in the last 2 years. And look, I'm going to be honest. I've stopped listening to a lot of that. But anyway, what I was going to say, this was a couple of years ago. And my point was they were talking about a story that I assume that the big paper in Chicago, which I don't know what that is. Sorry, Chicagoans, if that's the name of people from Chicago. But in the 70s, they did this and it cost a lot of money. And the NPR report about this story was that it cost a lot of money. It was really good long-term investigative journalism. What they did was they essentially purchased a bar and then they set up a thing where they were finding out how corrupt the city inspectors were, how you could essentially bribe them and all that. So, but it cost a lot of money to do these stories. And afterwards, if I recall correctly, this was a problem because they spent so much money doing it, but it,
that's a problem.
Here's what I want to say, less specifically, more broadly. We have a responsibility as readers and consumers of media to ask for and to require of the journalists to do a good job. We can't keep clicking on the thing about John Cena apologizing to China. We can't keep on this comes to the fundamental reason why
NPR.
I try.
That's what happens.
But this is why I so oftentimes you're always I'm always more reticent to talk about like these kinds of current events or the thing that is in the news today. And I did it today with the John Cena guy or whatever. But because I feel like that they're entering into the dialogue with it, clicking it, even if you're like on the other side of it, you're somehow feeding the beast. You're somehow feeding the machine of triviality. You're of this frivolous
there's a
discussion.
Problem.
It's tough.
At the same time, you are in your own culture. You are in your culture. Here's what I don't want. I don't want NPR to tell me why crocheting is racist. I don't want the New York Times to tell me why the Jungle Book is sexist or whatever. I don't want, a reporter at the New York Times saying, this person said a bad word. I don't fucking care. You are having a degree in journalism. You are supposed to actually do the real work. We're making a podcast about movies. So if we want to talk about why some celebrity is a fool for capitulating to a communist oppressive regime because they want to make Fast and the Furious 2009, that's different. There's different standards here. We're not a journalistic outlet, so
we are not.
I don't mind
we should put that on record right now. We need to put that on record right now. We are not a journalistic outlet.
But the New York Times and NPR are. And here's the other thing. NPR is well funded. NPR is funded by lots of people all over the country. And NPR has been funded publicly forever. That's the whole thing. It's publicly funded. So
yeah, but I think I don't know. The specifics I don't know because their funding is, my understanding, maybe it's PBS. It's only a small percentage of it is publicly funded.
Yeah, well, that's more than private. That's more than private journalism. So
sure.
You would imagine that they're having a little bit of a better chance at pursuing things without having to be entirely profit driven. But here, I'm not going to talk about the economic everything that's regarding to publications. But you have to decide as a person also. This is the thing. Yeah, sure. Whatever. You can, again, that's the John Cena thing. You want to pursue economic gain instead of integrity? Okay, then you make garbage. That's what happens. Yeah, you have some money and you get to have a longer career, but it's a boring, vapid career. And it doesn't create any good change, any lasting thing. NPR is not doing... NPR used to be really informative, really interesting. I loved NPR. I can't listen to it now. It's a joke. Every time I turn it on, it's like, why fat people are taking over the world. Like, who fucking cares? What is this, 24/7 radio about every ism and every new little cultural issue that you can dig up under the sun? Like, why chairs are racist? Like, truly. It's ridiculous. But here's the thing. You're capitalizing on a social panic, so you're going to get what you wrought from that. If you're trying to sell cheap items, then you have, a cheap business model. It's again, living by principles, having integrity, and an institution is the same thing. An institution can be weak, and then what happens to weak institutions is that they crumble. And both of us do not fund NPR anymore because of that. I was happy to. I've donated to NPR periodically before, and now no.
I actually still like PBS, and
PBS tries. PBS seems to be.
It's again, it's not a black and white thing, and all I could tell you, my own personal, the way I'm dealing with it, is that if I don't like something, if I don't think that it's making me better, making me think, challenging me to do something, if I think that it's frivolous, I turn it off and I can't believe I'm going to say this. Let the market do its work. I can't believe I'm going to say it, but like at some point, I don't know.
But the problem is that there's a new ethos because these things are online now. So they're tapping into a cheap fuel, which is outrage. So
well, let them have it. Look, everyone intrinsically, and everyone in a very deep level knows how this ends up.
Yeah. Well,
if you make garbage, then you get what you deserve.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's the motto for this podcast. You get what you deserve.